Hello, lovelies. Hello, greetings. Thank you for joining. Thank you for tuning in. Um, I wanted to talk to you today about two first and last conversations I had um, with guys that I started talking to as far as considering dating. And one thing that you'll definitely have to learn now or as soon as possible, if you don't already know it, is that you have to conserve your feminine energy. And you don't want to uh you don't want to waste any time, or you want to waste as little time as possible. I'm not going to say waste, I'll say spend. Yeah, they spend. You want to spend as little time as possible vetting a suitor, whether they're going to be able to be active in your life as far as um considering them for a dating partner or more. The quicker that you can get the information and make a decision, the better. You don't want to hem and haw. Oh my gosh, I've been writing down so many different ideas of other topics that I want to share with you all. And there was some on like vetting and screening. And what else did I want to talk about? Um, okay. Oh. I know what I was going to say. Beliefs that I had prior to committing to date up. Yeah, and one of the major limiting beliefs that I had before I started this level up journey and the journey to only commit to dating up is I used to think that I could look past a guy's sort of traumas and like unaddressed ones, and I think that the basically I would just project myself onto the guy. For example, I've had a really difficult like childhood and upbringing, and I mean, I've had all various types of traumas, and also I've also done the work. You know what I mean? Like I've been in therapy, I've done self-help books, I've journaled, I've done all number and sort. I've done leadership camps, professional development. I've done like retreats, like feminine retreats. I've done feminine rites of passages. I've done like two different rites of passages. So I've done so much to invest in myself and to come to a place of peace and healing with all the various, um, childhood traumas that I've had. And I used to erroneously think that if a guy was presented with an opportunity to do something to help himself, to heal himself internally, that he would just jump at the idea. That's not true, actually. I found out that that's not true. Most guys never do the work. They mostly just kind of unleash all that stuff out on other people. So I learned to stop doing that. I believe that the only way that you'll do the work is if you actually do the work, or if you just come from a good family. That's always nice too, because it's always better to not have to heal something that you don't damage. But let me get back to these conversations. So one of the conversations, I'm gonna share the synopsis of two different conversations. The first one was on Saturday. The first one was on Saturday afternoon, and then the second one was on um they want to gaslight. Okay. Um you'll have to explain that, the woman who doesn't exist to you, because I'm not sure what you mean. Okay, so then the second one happened Sunday. I believe it was Sunday. Yeah. Okay, so the first guy that I talked to, we met on a dating app, and it was pretty okay. It was, an okay conversation. He did start flattering me and telling me how beautiful I was and that he wanted to take me out to dinner. I don't just jump. I told y'all in another video, I don't just jump at dinner just because some guy wants to take me out. Like, the worst thing that can happen, which happened to me the other day when I told y'all about the that devaluation that happened with the Indian guy, the worst thing that can happen is like you end up stuck at a dinner table with like somebody that you don't want to be there with. So I just, because of the because of my time constraints, I just can't commit to going to dinner unless I have a conversation with the guy and I already know that we have an understanding about how our relationship is possibly going to unfold, and he needs to understand as soon as possible that I'm very high maintenance, I'm extra, I'm extra extra, and I like nice stuff. So I try to disclose that as quickly as possible, like as quickly as possible. It in a you know in a polite way and in a way that makes sense. I don't just like, hi, how are you doing? I'm Afrocentric woman. I'm high maintenance. No, not like that. But I just drop hints to let him know what league he's playing in to make sure that like this is going to be a good match. So anywho, he's like, I want to take you to dinner. I'm like, I think that we should talk first and let's see. So I asked for him to, no, he was like, okay, boom, here's my phone number. Give me a call. And I told him, I said, well, let's do the voice feature on this app first, before I call you. And he was like, oh, it's fine. If you want to call me with your number blocked, I'm perfectly fine with that. And for me, I thought that was a very kind gesture that, he understands that I'm a woman and that I may not be comfortable giving out my phone number to someone that I don't know, and that he gave me the option to call with number blocked. I thought I did take note of that as a kind gesture, and I definitely wanted to kind of tuck that away as something positive about this man. So we ended up talking on the app um later on, and it was kind of wonky and we couldn't really hear each other. So I did decide to just go ahead and call him on his phone. And so as we're talking, um oh my God, the number one dusty question, how long have you been single? Which I don't answer. I just don't even answer that question anymore. And I'll tell you in another video because it's too long for this video and it's late. But I have another video about information to withhold. I'm gonna record another video on information to withhold when dating. But I don't tell guys how long I've been single. I don't tell guys how long I've been on the app. I don't tell guys um how things are going on the app. I don't tell guys that I'm dating and how my dating is going. Because my thing is this, bro. Listen, okay? You have a sausage in between your legs, right? So answer me this, sir. Why are you worried about another man's sausage? Tell me. Like, help me understand. Help me understand. You need to be worried about me, and you need to be worried about you, and you need to be worried about you and me. But you don't need to be asking me what I'm doing outside of me and you, and because I don't know, keep in mind, like I don't know you, right? And furthermore, it's just not relevant. I just these are the points of information that I do not disclose early into a situation. Okay, so we get past that, and he was kind of like a little bit like, kind of like pushing me on it. I like guys who I prefer a man who, when I'm being vague about something, I just kind of want them to just let it go, for the simple fact that you know that I need to be comfortable. Just like how you said I can call you with my number blocked. If there's information that I don't want to give you, you should just let it roll, bro. So that happened. And then I always ask men very early on because I want to be respectful of both of our time. I ask them, have they ever dated a woman with children? And then once they answer that question, depending on how they answer the question, I'll ask them, well, how was that for you? And usually they'll disclose, oh, blah, blah, blah. They have their feelings about it. And I'll like, how do you feel about dating women with children? And I let them answer me. And I'm like, okay, cool. Because I just need to know right up front. And I'll do another, in fact, let me write that down. I'll do another video on that. I'll do another video on that. Um, how to determine if a guy doesn't date women with children. I have another, oh, well, you know what? I'm going to record another video called Single Mothers Are for the Streets, because that's like a real thing that you need to like worry about. That's like a real thing. So I like to establish up front, how do you feel about dating a woman with children? He said his last serious relationship was with a woman with children, or with a child. And they were together for however long, whatever. And so he was like, "Well, how has it been for you, dating with a child?" And I was like, surprisingly, it's been pretty easy. There are some constraints, but it's been, a lot of guys have, it really hasn't deterred many guys. I can literally count on, and this is true, I can literally count on one hand how many men don't date women with children. And I totally respect that. I do. I do. I respect that. Like, if you don't have kids, you don't want a woman with kids, I respect that. There's actually no beef coming from my end for that. So, um, anyway, where was I? So he asked me, like, "Well, how has it been for you?" And I told him, only a handful of guys don't date a woman with kids. And I told him it was surprising and blah blah blah. And I told him, I said, "Well, I think that just at our age range, I just think most men have given up on the idea of dating women without children." And I said, I also don't. I said, also, I think that men like all the options available to them. Like, I think they wanna say, "I don't wanna date a woman with kids," but they also don't wanna not date women without kids, or with kids. You know what I'm saying? Like, for example, if all of us go into a room, or we go and there's 2 rooms, and all the women with no children go to room A, and all the women with children go to room B, and you're like, "Okay, sir, do you date women with children?" And he says, "No." And they say, "Okay, only go to room A." And he's like, "But what's in room B though?" "Sir, go to room A. The women who don't have children are in room A." I know, and I was just in room A yesterday. So can you tell me what's in room B though? Like, can I just peek and see? Like, how many kids though? Like, just one or two? Like, is she really fine though? Does she have a degree? Does she speak another language? I just want to know what's over there. See, that's the thing. And I told her, I was like, I think that men say that they don't want to date a woman with kids, but they also don't want to cut themselves off because they're so curious, and they want, they want to leave no stone unturned. And I literally said that verbatim. I said, men want to leave no stone unturned. So that's why they don't oftentimes, you know, disavow themselves from dating women with children. And I said, what men want it all. And he was like, "Oh, you think men want it all? Let's get into it. Let's get into it. Let's." And he was like digging his heels, like he was ready to argue with me about something. I guess he was ready to argue with me about men versus women and what women are. And I was just like, "No, no, 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 no. Sir, listen, stop." Because I didn't say it like that, but I had to stop him because I don't want to argue with you, man. I don't want to argue with you about anything. I'm just making a general statement about men, and I don't mean it in a negative way. Men are curious and they like variety. Okay. They like to experience a variety of women. And that's why they don't oftentimes cut themselves off from different situations. So I'm not saying that that's a negative attribute of a man. I'm not saying it's a positive attribute of a man. I'm saying it's a neutral attribute. It just is what it is. And so I stopped the argument from happening. And I was like, "Well, tell me this. What are you looking for in a dating relationship right now?" And he says, "Well, I see myself being in a relationship because I really think it's time. And I've been, single for a while. And the pandemic really taught me that, relationship is important." I was like, "Oh, tell me more." It just keeps you from being lonely. And he said it keeps you from being lonely, bored, and depressed. And I thought, well, damn, damn. Like, so you telling me you yourself as an individual, you, sir, if you don't have a woman to entertain you, you are bored, you are lonely, and you're depressed. I'm thinking in my head, okay, that's not a good sign, because I had a whole level up damn journey during the pandemic lockdown. Like, I enjoyed my company. I enjoyed the shit out of my company. I hooked up with my friends on Zoom, my girlfriends. We started a whole book club. I leveled up my business. I did a slew of things during the pandemic. I was not sitting in my house bored, depressed, nor lonely. So I was like, okay. And he says something like, and he was very crass. He says, because I want a woman with some substance. I don't just want PUSSY. And I said, oh my gosh, I clutch my pearls. I clutch my pearls. I said, oh my God, the conversation is going left. And he didn't apologize. He didn't apologize. When a man early on, if he offends you and he doubles down on that shit, he don't care. He's not trying to impress you, in other words. Men naturally sometimes put their foot in their mouth, and sometimes men may say something that's crass or dark humor or whatever the case may be. And usually, a good man, when you communicate to him, hey, that's too much, or hey, I don't like that, they'll apologize and won't do it again. They'll veer off and they'll go in a better direction and they will course correct. So the fact that he didn't apologize after saying something so crass, keep in mind, like, you don't know me from a can of paint and you're going to get on the phone with me and just start speaking sexual terms? The hell is wrong with you? Anyway, so that happened. The whole bored, lonely, and depressed thing happened. And then I said something like, well, what do you like? What's a good relationship to you? And he was like, somebody to spend time with, and I want this, and I want somebody to keep me company, and I'm in da 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 da. And I was just like, okay, so basically you're talking about all the benefits that you want to get from the woman that you're going to extract from her, but you haven't mentioned anything that you want to do for the woman. Okay, all right, let's keep going. And anyway, so he was like, well, all black women want, all black women. I was like, whoa, hold on. First of all, sir, okay, let's stop, okay? Because I'm not a representative of all black women, so I cannot say what all black women want. And not to mention, I have peeled myself away from the herd. I'm in a niche down. I'm what you call, like, I'm in a niche down small slither of black women who are really on some different stuff. Okay. So I cannot tell you the mass of what I just can't. That stereotype that you're about to say, that old stereotype that you're about to recite, I can't, I can't endorse that. He's like, well, let me just tell you, all black women want somebody who's tall, dark, and handsome, who has a pretty good job, and who can put it down in the bed, or something like that. But I think he was a little bit more explicit with that last point. And I just thought to myself, mm, no, that's not what I care about. I want a provider and a protector. So I don't know what that. I don't know what any of that is. But keep in mind, as he's sharing all these things, I'm not arguing back and forth with him. I'm not asserting my beliefs. I'm not imposing my beliefs on him. I'm not superseding what he's saying with my own philosophies. Because that's not the point of the conversation. The point of the conversation is not to convince him of anything, not to convince him of my value, not to convince him of my value system. The point of the conversation is to find out some information about this gentleman, to even see if it does it even make sense for me to go to dinner with you, because I can't get that time back. Does it even make sense? And ultimately, no, it doesn't. So after he went off on that little tangent about what black women want in his view, I knew it wasn't going to work. So he said blah blah blah, and I said, you know what? Um, Thank you for calling me, and I said also thank you for giving me the opportunity to call you blocked. It meant a lot to me. It shows me that you are, willing to be accommodating, and I really did appreciate that. And I said, just from talking, I can just see that you and I we won't be a good fit. And he was like, "Oh, really?" And I was like, "Yes." And I was like, "But best of luck on your dating journey." And I said, "Goodbye." And I hung up the phone. So that was what, 20 minutes of my time? Could have been worse. What if it was a whole 2 hours? What if I would have got dressed? It takes me like 2 hours to get dressed, y'all. What if I would have got dressed, hair, makeup, nails, shoes, dress, clutch, all of that, drove somewhere, and then sat down at the dinner table and heard the same bullshit. Like, okay. I wouldn't be able to get that time back. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. I wouldn't even be able to get that time back. Okay, so the woman who doesn't exist says they want to gaslight you while avoiding taking responsibilities to heal their trauma. Yeah, I think to some extent. Um, there's one tactic that there's one I'm writing this down too. The narc tactic to show show a trauma. I talk about it a little bit. I don't know in which video. I don't remember which video I did, but I did do a video on narcs will kind of show you a little bit of who they are. Oh, I know which video. If you look in the video where I have the little smiling teeth and it says running from an early devaluation, when this guy was talking about my teeth on our first date, or he talked about my teeth like the day after our first date, that's when I kind of talk about this tactic that narcissist people do. They'll show you some very wounded, hurt part of themselves, usually a very childlike state, and it plays on your empathy and it sort of gets your emotions involved. And then once you're hooked, they never show that again. And they actually have no intention of healing it. They use it as a tactic to reel people into them, because although they don't have empathy, they know how to use empathy against other people, if that makes any sense. They know how to tap into it and they know how to mimic it. So that's been my personal experience with narcs revealing these little, glimpses of trauma. They'll just blurt out and say, "Yeah, my mom told me I should have never been born." And then you're like, "Oh my God," you'll be like horrified, like, "I can't believe she said that." And then they reel you in, and then they can, sort of act an ass from there and always blame it on, "Well, my mom, she didn't want me. She was going to abort me. That's why I'm fucked up. And please forgive me." That kind of cycle. Um, but but yeah, so that definitely happens. I don't know if they too much, I mean, they do gaslight, but I think in other venues. But what I was really speaking to when I was talking about the beliefs is I was talking about sort of um my projection onto them, that just because they revealed traumas or you see that they have had a difficult childhood, maybe their one parent abandoned them, um, or there was drugs or alcohol or abuse in the household, and so you're like, oh my God, given the fact that you come from this situation, you are going to be traumatized. Like, you want to make it seem like you're okay, it doesn't matter, you're so strong. But think about 4-year-old you, 5-year-old you, 6-year-old you that's going through that difficult time. Obviously you're not going to come out of a situation like that unscathed. Now me, I got the information when I was 21. That's when I started my journey into like therapy and living in the now, meditation, and that kind of next level healing. I was 21, and I latched on to the information as soon as I got it. Like, as soon as I got a hold of the information, I ran with it. Like, oh my God, there is a situation. Therapy can help me. Oh, perfect. Sign me up. Oh, that book can help me. Give it to me. Oh, this retreat should heal trauma. Oh, let me go on it. Oh, this is going to make me a better woman. Sign me up. Oh, how much is the class? I'll pay. Oh, that's the next step. Okay, I'll take it. Oh, that's going to be my mentor. Thank you. Be my mentor. I'll be your mentee. You're show me the way. I was just hungry for self-development, just hungry for it. Anything that I could do to help myself, I just latched onto it. So I just kind of assumed that about other people and about men. And I was very wrong. Okay. Men are perfectly fine being dysfunctional. Okay. They're fine with that. They live happily they don't care. They'll just be traumatized. They'll just be fucked up forever. And a lot of them don't get into therapy until they get married and they are forced into marriage counseling. Other than that, like, a lot of them won't go on their own. So I figured, you know what? Let me change it up and let me just like try to find a man who comes from a good family. Let me just let me just try to find a man who's like not too messed up. You show you that to get their supply, and they know that we are naturally nurturing. Oh, hell yes, they know that we're nurturing. And so they're going to try to tap into that. So it's very important as feminine women that we conserve our energy. And as feminine women, it's very important that we nurture those providers. So if a man is providing for you, you nurture him. A man who's protecting you, that's who you nurture, and nurture healthy relationships, nurture yourself, nurture your children, nurture your healthy family members. Because we are the ones who decide how to expend our energy. Um, Even though they are leeches and vampires, we have to consent to it. We got to consent. We got to consent to it, and we have to participate with it. So we can take our energy away and invest it somewhere else at it absolutely any time. Absolutely any time. Even today, I was struggling with like feeling like I've wasted so much time. Spoke with an old friend of mine today that I've known since grade school, and she and I were chatting about a variety of topics. And I was just talking to her, and we're just talking about before we had our children, and I was just thinking, oh my God. Oh my God, I just really wish I would have invested my time differently. But at the same time, okay, the field filled with that regret, at the same time, I also feel extremely grateful that I have the information now. I feel incredibly grateful, and I give thanks and praise every single day. That's how I start my day, with thanks and praise. I'm grateful that I have the information today. I'm grateful that I'm on a different journey today. I'm grateful that I still have breath in my body and that I'm able to change my life today. You know, I'm grateful. So let me tell you about the last conversation with the guy, because this one didn't wasn't as long. So this one was on Sunday, and we have been talking on the app, on a dating app, and he also asked me out for lunch or dinner or something. And I also said, well, let's talk on the app first, and let's talk on the app and go from there, see where things go. And he said, okay, that's fine. He gave me his number, and he said, you can call me here. And I said, I'll call you on the app, or, call me on the app. And he was like, okay, fine. I guess you don't feel comfortable calling me. And then he says, well, what is this? Some type of pre-screening interview? And I said, no, it's not a pre-screening interview. I just want to hear your voice, and I just want to chat with you, and let's see where things go. And he was like, okay. So when we finally talked on the app, he says, oh, so is this my interview? Is this my pre-screener? And I was like, no, no, it's not a pre-screener. I just want to talk to you, on the app. And he was like, well, even before we finally talked, he was like, should I send you my calendar link and you book a call with me? I was like, no, handsome. There's no need to do that. Just let's talk on the app, please. Thanks. So we're talking, and he sounds down, right? He just doesn't sound very happy. And then he's like, oh, I'm getting ready for an interview at this company. I'm switching careers. And I thought, okay, red flag. I'm not, honestly, y'all, I'm not interested in dating a man who is in the midst of turmoil, like who's in the midst of like finding his identity and like switching career. Like I don't want that. I don't want that. I don't want that. I prefer a man who's established in his career. Established. I don't mind a man building on what he's already doing, who's like building what he's all doing, or maybe he's starting something new, but he already has something that's working, something that's paying. You see what I'm saying? I don't want a man who's sitting up here gambling on a career change, because what if that shit goes down the hill and you spend your we can't get our time back, ladies. You know, they can go ahead and marry somebody at 50 years old and nobody's going to bat an eye. We don't have that luxury. So we cannot gamble with our time the way they do. So I'm thinking, okay, that's a red flag. You're changing careers. Okay, I'm not feeling that. So he's like, yeah, I have this interview tomorrow. It's 4 hours long. I'm trying to change careers, yada, yada, yada. And he just still sounds really depressed, and he's like, "Oh, I moved here from Paris. I moved here for love." And I was like, "Oh, it didn't work out." He was like, "No, unfortunately, it didn't." And I was like, "Okay." And I was like, "Well, were you married?" And he says, "Yes." And I said, "Oh, well, you know, when did you get a divorce?" And he was like, or no, I asked him, are you, oh, so you're still going through the divorce process?" I always ask that question like that. I know it's a very particular way that I ask the question. "Oh, so you're still going through the divorce, huh?" And it sounds very understanding, right? Like, "Oh my gosh, yeah, I totally get it." Now, if a man is not fully divorced, you sound very non-alarming, he's likely going to just tell you, "Yeah, I'm still filing the paperwork. I'm still going through divorce." But if you're like, "So you divorced, nigga?" Like if like if you're a they're gonna be like, "No, no, no, I'm divorced. Divorced. I'm available." They're not gonna disclose to you what's really going on. So that's how I ask that question all the time, and I get, usually the truth. Sometimes they still lie, but he's like, "No, it was finalized 6 months ago." And I was like, I can't do this. I already knew. No, I already knew. I already knew that this wasn't going to work. You're in the middle of a career change. You just had a divorce. That is way too much in the air. Then you're giving me a hard time about being on the app. You don't want to follow my protocol. You're pushing back on my protocol, which means this is my boundary. So my boundary is I'm not going to talk to you on the phone. I'm going to talk to you on the app. And you're pushing, 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 pushing up against my boundary, pushing about the phone, pushing about the date when I haven't greenlit that as a woman. So I didn't like that. I don't like the fact that you just got a divorce. And I don't like the fact that you're about to change careers. I would prefer a man who's like 5 to 10 years into a career change. I don't want to gamble. What if this shit don't work? Ah, what if this shit don't work? Oh my God. Okay, let me get this link in case anybody wants to call in. If you want to, you can for a little bit before um uh I wanted to pin this. How do I pin this? Dang it. Oh well, I can't figure out how to pin this comment. I wish I could. Therapy and intuition for you. That's good. Intuition is the bomb. Ooh, let me write that down. I want to I think a lot of people keep talking about intuition, but I don't think that they give women a practical way to know how to build up their intuition. Uh, how to build it and make it stronger. It's a hard question to answer too, though. I started that journey. I mean, probably yeah, when I was 21 a little bit, but really hardcore into intuitive work. I started that around 25. I would say yeah, 25, age 25, 26. That's when I started really working on my intuition. Uh, Divorce papers for um I'm sorry y'all, I'm just writing down video ideas. I have a little notebook where I have video ideas that I want to record. It's so many. That's why I've been going live lately, because when I record them and then I have to sit up here and put it in a little editing software and upload it, it'd be like that just makes it take more time for me to um get it out to you ladies. And so that's why I've been doing more lives. So hopefully at some point the lives will be a little bit more, whatever. I don't know. This isn't like a PowerPoint presentation channel. This is more of a like girl talk, if we were like somewhere like having drinks or something. That's really what this channel is. And we just chatting and talking. That's more so what this channel is over a polished presentation type of channel or whatever. So, anyway. All right, beautiful ladies. Thank y'all so much for tuning in. I really appreciate you. Thank you for subscribing and thank you for sharing the content. I am extremely grateful. And yeah, that can be the word of the day, gratitude. That could be our word for the day, gratitude. I'm grateful for you, beautiful ladies. Have a wonderful night. Peace and love.